I do love a spirited off-air discussion, and it's still going, I think, between Nicholas Rees, Chris Kenny and Fiona Scott. All right, let's jump into a couple of other quick things here today, including, interesting that the federal government is thinking about getting on top of changing ASIO powers, mainly and largely in relation to matters like ISIS and the need to get on top of this. Chris, you and I have talked about this week in, week out. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen as soon as possible, but it also needs to be the best law possible.
Yeah, you know, I'd rather talk about Al Gore, actually, and just how gullible he is, but maybe if ASIO listened to him, we'd find out what the hell happened here.
You've got 2 shows this weekend if you want. 2 full shows.
Look, I agree. Look, a lot of people get very nervous about these sorts of laws and these sort of extended powers, and well might they. But I've had a lot of involvement over the years with our intelligence agencies, and I've seen the great work they do, how it keeps us safe. So if the agencies want the extra powers and there are enough checks and balances in the system, then I think we have to allow it, because you know we've had some shocking news this week, revelations in the last few weeks about extremists in Australia and travelling overseas, and we've been lucky to have thwarted all the potential terrorist attacks on Australian soil so far, and we want to keep that record.
Now, Fiona, there is obviously a great need to deal with this and confront it. Yep. Is there a time frame, an expectation? Is this something that the government is going to take weeks, months? What's the feeling of? Because the urgency is these people are there now and they're going to be returning, but you don't want to whack in garbage legislation. What is the internal time frame on this?
Well, that's probably more of a question directly to the Attorney-General or the Foreign Affairs Minister, but the time frame really is, it's important of how we actually protect our country. I mean, these extremists who are, from what we hear in Iraq, there's 150 Australians there, and first and foremost, we need to protect Australia. We need to protect good Australian people and make sure our country is safe, and that is what these measures are about.
All right, how do you feel about the stuff where people, and I think it's been a ridiculous claim, that to even have a discussion about this stuff, have a discussion about the Isbak Tahrir stuff, is some sort of Islamophobia? I don't think that... the conversations I've been having on this show have not been about that. And it's certainly not the way I believe most people... I mean, most people can tell the difference between the extreme 99.9% of the population that this does not apply to.
Look, I think it's really disappointing when the debate falls into that level, and it's most unhelpful. I mean, you and I have many friends that are Islamic and are Muslim, and this isn't about religion. This is about people breaking the law. This is about people going out and starting wars. And extremists and terrorism is extremists and terrorism, and it should be dealt with accordingly. We have strong laws in this country. You're going to break these laws, you're going to go overseas and start wars with other people, then you should feel the full strength of the law.
I agree completely. Now, Nicholas, how do you feel about this? Because obviously there's going to be conversation about whatever they come up with, but the truth is the system we currently have is either not being used or is not good enough when 150 people up from suburban Australia and go and fight somebody else's war.
Yeah, look, I certainly agree on the sort of security monitoring front that the law hasn't kept up with technological change, and you know our security forces should have the legal framework that allows them to do the work they have to do. What does concern me, though, is that the Abbott government has abolished the Independent National Security Legislation Monitor, which is the monitoring body that watches the watchers. And I think that the community can have confidence in this system if they know that there is somebody monitoring the monitors. And that's why I think it is quite concerning that under this framework that is currently coming forward, they're doing away with that. That should be a genuine cause of concern for ordinary people, I think.
All right, quickly to Victoria politics. A couple of polls around today. They also show the same thing. By about 1 to 2 points, things have got worse for the Napthine government. Now, I've said this all the way through, which is that Victoria is just the same as the rest of the country, obviously, that do not like the idea of, 1, a leader that they did not vote for going into the election as the leader, and 2, a government being propped up by somebody, again, they didn't vote for to be the person who propped them up. In this case, Jeff Shaw, put in as a Liberal, becomes an independent who held a gun to the government's head, and the way the government handled it is appalling. Look at the two-party preferred. 6 points down, 59% primary vote. This must be happy, happy days for you, Nicholas, politically, with the side of politics that you have supported. But I mean, it is no great surprise here that when you're looking at two-party preferred, both polls, Nielsen News poll, 54-46. I said it when this started up, the people of Victoria want to change, but also that is a vote of no confidence in the way that Denis Napthine handled Jeff Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, those polls today are quite extraordinary, both Newspoll and Nielsen, showing that the Napthine government is heading for a wipeout and that the Victoria will have an Andrews government by the end of the year. I think the Napthine government can't take a trick at the moment. They've had obviously the Jeff Shaw scandal, which has dogged them for months. They've had the tapes breaking this week with the former Premier bagging out his colleagues. There's tensions between the National Party and the Liberal Party in Victoria. They're squabbling over seats. And then the federal budget, I don't think, has been particularly helpful for the Victorian coalition either. So you put that all together and it is an awful set of circumstances, and we could have the first-term government, or first government to be defeated after one term in Victoria since 1955. That's what we're looking at.
Well, it's amazing. But also, what is interesting, though, Daniel Andrews, his approval ratings are pretty appalling. I think it's only 29% of people have a absolutely positive view of him. He's got high disapprovals, and the preferred Premier is not great for him. But, Chris, the team he leads, Team Red versus Team Blue, looks like Team Red is going to give it to Team Blue.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so certain that it's going to be as comprehensive as people are saying. It's been a terrible period for the government, and look, I think the latest stuff with the Baillieu tape leaking perhaps hasn't even really been picked up properly in these polls, so it could be a bit worse than those polls show. I think the news poll showing 54-46 two-party preferred, you know, you would expect worse given what's been going on. Sure, the electorate's not exactly warming to Andrews, but I never pay too much attention to those personal approval ratings. It's about the primary vote, and that's where you need to look. I think Napthine's got a very difficult task ahead of him, but I think the national economy will be important for him, and I think the Union's Royal Commission and what it's going to do for the Labor Party in Victoria could probably help him a bit as well. So I think the election will probably be a bit tighter than people imagine. They often are. But it's looking pretty glum for the Liberals. There's no doubt about it.
All right, quick break. Plenty more that has nothing to do with politics. And who do you think is winner and loser of the week? Jump on to Facebook and tell us. Just go searching for Paul Murray Live. You can follow me on Twitter and hurl as much abuse as you want, because at, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes time, I'm in digital detox. At PM On Air. More in a sec.